FHS Season Tickets.
Welcome into another episode of FHS Season Tickets. I'm Michael, and today I'm going to be alone talking about college football, but I'm going to have a guest on here to do that. We have Tyler Smith from Arena Fanatic. Would you like to introduce yourself? Second time on the show, as you were on here last year.
Yes, I was. It was a good time last year, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into this first game. Tonight, Friday night, USC travels to Washington State. I'll go to you first for this game. What are you expecting? A lot of people like the Cougars to get the upset.
People are liking the Cougars right now. Yeah, last season I was all in on Washington State. I took a little bit of a step back this year. I went all in on USC, and I predicted USC to go undefeated. If I'm not mistaken, Washington State is about a 7-point dog at this point, so that's really good news for Washington State to be at this point where they're finally, competitive versus USC. Games at home, but I'm going to say that together similar how they did versus Stanford and takes down.
I'm going to go with USC as well. Washington State, they should have lost to Boise State. They were down like 21 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Just a really lucky comeback for them. So I'm going to take USC to get the win. They were not one of my bets of the week that we'll go over. We're just going to do the three top 25 games here. Mississippi State travels to Auburn. I personally love the Tigers. They're one of my bets this week against the spread. They're laying 8.5 points, and I think that's not enough. I bet against Mississippi State last week. Georgia absolutely killed them. I'm not high on Mississippi State at all this year, so I'm going with the Auburn Tigers to get the win. I've been high on them all season. Been saying they were the second best SEC team, which now it looks like Georgia is, but still Auburn is a really good team. I think they're a little underrated right now, so I'm got Auburn getting the win. Do you agree with me, or are you disagreeing with me right here?
I'm going to actually disagree with you on this one. I took Mississippi State over LSU because LSU is they're just not there. And they got Eddie O, and if you have Eddie O as your coach, it's not going to be positive. So, here's Georgia. Got slammed. So this week, I'm kind of like, what am I going to do? Auburn has a great defense. They've been able to stop the run at a very high rate, and that is what Mississippi State does well. But with the Nick Fitzgerald dynamic for Mississippi State this week, I'm not too confident right now in that offensive line for Auburn and their offensive capabilities at this point. Versus Mercer recently, I'm just not buying into the Auburn Tigers, and I know that my co-writer, when he hears me talk about the Auburn Tigers that way, but I'm going to go with Mississippi State in an upset.
All right, I definitely disagree. I think that Mercer game was a bit of an anomaly. They outgained them by so many points. They also had some trouble in the red zone. I think that is just a one-off game, not a sign of things to come for the Auburn offense. Just dropped 51 on Missouri, which I took Auburn against spread there, and they absolutely killed it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Missouri is horrible. I'm glad that we don't really have to discuss Missouri and too much as they did earlier in the season when everybody's like, oh, Missouri offense. Yeah, we've seen the Missouri offense. It's not worth anything.
Yeah, and the final game of the week, arguably the biggest one along with the USC game, Clemson travels to Virginia Tech to take on the Hokies. I'm taking Clemson straight up. Did not touch this game against the spread, if I remember correctly. 7.5 points is a really interesting line right here. I think Clemson gets it done, but over a touchdown. I wasn't confident enough in the Tigers to drop the 7.5 points, so I'm just going to take Clemson straight up in this game. I have not been in on Virginia Tech that much, despite taking them against the spread all the way back in week 1 against West Virginia. So I'm going to take Clemson to get the win. I think Virginia Tech's getting a little overhyped at 12th in the country.
Yeah, 12th in the country. Kind of hard to believe that this Virginia Tech team is already at number 12. When you think about it, they've had so much expectations the past few years, and they just never can seem to put it totally together. Last year was definitely a strong improvement, but they didn't have the quarterback coming back, so it's there. But I agree with you. I would definitely just play it safe with the Clemson straight up, not worry about, I think, 6.5, 7.5 points. I think that's a safe bet, and Clemson could win the big game, and now that seems like that's all they do, is win the big game. So I would be taking the Clemson Tigers as well.
Yeah, Dabo Sweeney basically eliminated Clemsoning. But now we're going to hop into my bets. We're going to talk about what you like and dislike about them. First bet of the week is going to be Vandy. The first time I'm taking them against the spread this year. Only other time I touched them was an under against Middle Tennessee State. You know, I'm a diehard Vandy fan, so I try to avoid them betting. But 10 points against this Florida offense, I'm very comfortable getting those 10 points against Florida, so I'm taking them. The next bet going to be Georgia -7 against Tennessee. I think Georgia's going to blow out Tennessee. They got Florida State -7.5. I think they're traveling to Wake Forest. Top 5 preseason team. Their defense is still loaded. I think that Florida State gets it done. Auburn -9, like we already mentioned. Akron -3. I think they're traveling to Bowling Green. South Carolina +9. I believe they are at Texas A&M. And Oklahoma State -8.5 at Texas Tech, I do believe. Maybe they're at home. I forget. But
That's
any games that you are really agreeing with me on or really disagreeing right there for my against the spread bets for the week?
I think you're spot on with Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State is coming for throats. They're not going to hold back versus Texas Tech. And when's the last time that Texas Tech has ever been able to really stop anybody that has a good offense? So I think that this is the week that Oklahoma State just hammers. It's going to be similar to Pitt when they had 49.5.
Yeah,
so
I had
right on that one with you. That Forest one is interesting. Preseason, that game probably would have been about 17 points.
Oh, the Vandy game?
No, the Wake Forest one.
Oh, yeah. That's why I really like Florida State, because I took Baylor against the spread against Duke. They were 14.5-point underdogs where I looked, and they only lost by 14.
Yeah.
Preseason, Duke was only a 1-point favorite, so I was definitely happy doing that. And then they also covered against Oklahoma. I should have bet Baylor against Oklahoma, to be honest, because their stock just fell way too much.
Baylor played well.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I'm taking Florida State.
I'm with you on Florida State. I don't think that the Wake offense is going to be able to produce. I mean, I think it's crazy that they scored over 40 points. And it's also interesting that now that their plays aren't getting shelled out throughout the ACC, and opposing teams, they're actually starting to score a little bit on offense. So, maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it didn't. I'm not sure. But Wake is definitely playing much better. But they're going to cover that one. What was the first one you had on the list there?
I had Vandy +10.
Vandy, yeah, it's Vandy. So, I agree with you on this one as well. Vandy, I mean, when's the last time Florida's, demolished a team? I can't remember.
It had to be last season, before the bowl game, before the SEC title game, and before the Florida State game. So they have not won a game by double digits in 6 or 7 straight games. That's a pretty amazing stat, considering that they've been pretty consistently good. They're 2-1 this year, and last year they won, I think, 10 games.
Throw out, if you throw out the Alabama game, listen, just about everybody loses to Alabama.
Well, you saw what Alabama did to Vandy.
So, Vanderbilt's defense, it's back to play. There's no way that game is going to emerge to 10 points for the Florida Gators. So, I'm with you on that. I like that Vandy D offense. They'll probably do about the same as Florida, so I like taking the points there with the Commodores as well. I think the one that I had in mind that I did not see play was Ohio, I think, is a 6-point favorite versus UMass. And I think a lot of people are looking at that last UMass game and thinking they're actually better than they really are, but that was just the Blitz Jones special down there in Neyland. The Bobcats will UMass.
Yeah, UMass, their biggest loss this year is only 10 points, I do believe. They are 0-4 or 0-5, so that was why I stayed away from that game.
They typically keep it pretty close. I think they are maybe 2-3 against the spread right now, but I see after that high of last week for the UMass
with Berman,
I think that's going to be over with.
Yeah, well, let's get into my over-under bets. My first over-under bet of the week did not go well. I took Texas over 61.5 last night, and that game only got 24 points. Didn't your partner also take that game over too?
Oh yes, yeah. He's all sorts of fired up about the offensive play calling last night. They so early in the game was hype, you know. So why abandon the run when the passing game seems to, well, let's just say struggle.
Yeah, I had much more faith in Iowa State's offense. They just looked horrible out there. But let's just skip over that game. I've got 2 unders tonight. It's going to be Miami against Duke. I've got the under of 56. I think Duke tries to keep it lower scoring. Then I've got the BYU under tonight against Utah State. BYU's offense is just horrible, so I'm taking the under for 46 there. Then I've got North Carolina State under 63. I think they have the most underrated defense in the country. I wasn't as high as them as Cole Kubelik was, but I was very high on them throughout the preseason. Said they were a top 15 team talent-wise, but in the division that they're in, it was just kind of difficult for me to predict them to do much. But with Francois going down and getting that win over Florida State, I could easily see NC State going 9-3 this season. They still have to play Louisville and also, I do believe, Clemson. So they still have a very tough schedule, but I think they should have beaten South Carolina. But going back, my final bet, Kansas State over 59. I completely forget who they're playing, but I took the over in that game.
I completely agree with you on NC State. I had them second in the Atlantic preseason.
Did you have Clemson or Florida State at 1?
Good about it right now. With that win over Florida State, I mean that was huge. So now I think they have Clemson at home, and you know if they beat Clemson, then they're going to win that division. There's no way they wouldn't. But even if they lose to Clemson, I still feel pretty confident that they're going to end up second or third. Louisville this year had them fourth, so I think NC State, they're on the road to a successful season, and BYU game versus Utah State, is that correct?
Yeah, BYU against Utah State.
That's the under?
Yeah, I think that is a 20-14 game written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we haven't seen much out of BYU's offense, and Utah State is just a poor team. That game has actually moved to a pick-em.
I know, which I couldn't believe. I'm really tempted to take BYU now, but I can't.
Yeah, I think I would lean towards BYU. It's going to be ugly. It's not going to be a game that you really want to tune into, especially on a Friday night. You got 2 other.
You've got the Miami Duke game and the USC Washington State game.
So I'd say the under, if they, because those teams are just so poor on offense. So I would agree with you on that one.
All right. So we're going to kind of switch bases right here. Done with the college football Week 5 stuff. Going to hop in. You want to talk about college basketball or the NBA right now? Because a lot of storylines going on in both of them.
Well, let's go with the NBA because I'm interested to see what you have to say.
All right, so we're going to be doing a conference preview show with the NBA, me, Nick, and Miles, coming up in about a couple of weeks, so that's going to be exciting. We're going to have a bunch of NBA people on the show. So we're going to start off our first, we just did a show about Dwayne Wade too, so that'll be interesting. A lot of people have been saying some stuff about the NBA offseason. What's been the one biggest thing that you think has changed throughout the offseason that like you're really excited for, and like the one team that you are higher or lower on than everyone else?
I would say the one thing that I'm excited about is the Timberwolves are again relevant in the NBA because I, as a loyal T-Wolves fan from way back, this is the first time that I can honestly say that I'm confident that they'll make the playoffs.
Well, yeah, they have the
It's been a long
longest
time.
streak of not making the playoffs, and I believe if you miss it this year, you'll tie the NBA record for most consecutive years missing the playoffs.
That's horrible. And everybody was all saying that Kevin Love, he's such a great player, but they still never made the playoffs on one time when he was there. So since Garnett has been gone, so I'm excited to watch the Timberwolves again. I think the one team that you can point to that had probably the biggest offseason was Oklahoma City Thunder with the addition of George and Carmelo. It looked like Oklahoma City was going to be
bad,
dead after this season. But now there is definitely some hope. If you can keep that core around for a couple more years before Russell Westbrook wants to go to LA or whatever. But if you can keep that core around, I think he's going to be tempted to stay. So I think that's a team that was pretty much left for dead and now has some life.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Oklahoma City on the show. We called the Paul George trade, and also, I wouldn't say we called the Carmelo Anthony trade, but we had all the pieces right to the trade. We just didn't say that we thought he was going there. We just said if Carmelo Anthony was going there, and we thought it was a decent possibility that he would go to OKC, this would be the pieces. We said one of the Stash brothers turned out to be Cantor. A younger piece turned out to be Doug McDermott, and then a draft pick, second-round pick. So we called the basis of the Carmelo Anthony trade better than we called the Paul George trade, but we didn't definitively say that we thought Carmelo was going to the Thunder like we said we thought Paul George was going to the Thunder. But what Sam Presti did this offseason is absolutely unprecedented and unfair because he brought in 2 All-Stars and made it easier for him to tank if Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony leaves. Like, that shouldn't be allowed to happen in the NBA. If you are gaining All-Stars, you should be getting also back bad contracts, and if you want to dump players, you should be dumping bad contracts and good contracts. Really, all Sam Presti did was jump Victor Oladipo and Enes Kanter, who were locked into, I would say, bad contracts for multiple seasons, for short-term contracts with Carmelo Anthony and Paul George. That's just absurd what he was able to do.
Yeah, just purely amazing how he was able to make those moves. And, I mean, hearing from Carmelo that there was trade offers for George and himself to go to the Cavs.
But then who do they lose?
That was mind-boggling.
I think what was happening was, I don't know the specifics of the trade, but I feel like Cavs are in a better place now than if they would have gotten George and Melo.
Yeah, I mean, they would obviously have to give up a fair amount. I mean, they wouldn't have been able to get out of it like Sid did, because wow, that was just stealing. But props to the Thunder. And I do have one question for you.
All right.
Last year, saying that the East was better than the West. How did that turn out for you?
You're sounding like Nick all of a sudden here. That turned out wrong. Real wrong. But my prediction was for last season only. Anyone trying to argue that the East is better than the West now is wrong, clearly.
Yeah.
I was wrong about that prediction. It was...
I remember you were very strong about the prediction, and I was like, oh man, I can't forget that one. I can't forget that one.
It was not a good take at all. I know my buddy Old Takes Exposed, who I just had on the show, we'll upload that show coming up right before this interview. He's been trying to get me, and he didn't start following me until after my Eastern Conference better than the West, and also my Dak Prescott thing. So he has been trying to get me on the page, but he said he won't do it for stuff that I said before he got to know me. So he's been trying. He really liked, Old Takes Exposed really liked my Aaron Rodgers as the greatest quarterback of all time thing. He did not agree with that one.
I mean, throwing Hail Marys, maybe.
Oh my gosh. So who do you think's best?
Best?
Best quarterback
In
ever.
the West, or like overall?
Best quarterback ever.
Best quarterback ever, Tom Brady.
I have him second.
Second? I mean, that's fair. I think with time, maybe Rodgers will be able to surpass him. But right now, Tom Brady's untouchable right now.
Brady has been
He's 40 years
insane.
old. That's,
It's incredible because this season he's been better than Rodgers. And Rodgers, you'd say he's in his prime, and Brady's at age 40. I just look at career stats and trajectory, and I just see Rodgers being the GOAT. I would take Rodgers in his prime and even out of his prime over any quarterback in their prime. If you were just playing one game drafting and had to win, I'm taking Rodgers, and I'm not even hesitating thinking about that. So that's my basis.
not even hesitating. Wow.
No.
Wow. There's a take. There's a hot take right there.
Yep. One game, I'm a head football coach. I have to win the game, or like I lose $1 million, or I die. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not really thinking about anyone else all the time.
Oh my.
Yep.
Oh my.
It's the same
Let's
with
say this.
same with LeBron James.
Cleveland back with the Cleveland Browns and say they're back to get a W. Which one do you feel the most confident in?
If what?
Cleveland Browns, since they've been back.
Oh, give me Rodgers on the Browns.
Back getting you a W. Who would you pick?
Yep, Rodgers, 100%. He's practically playing with the Browns right now.
He's practically playing with them.
Have you seen Green Bay's roster? Have you seen their roster?
Yeah, it's sad. It's a sad roster.
You replace Rodgers
Don't
with
make noise.
an average quarterback. That team's 5-11, maybe 6-12.
Yeah.
They're not good,
Totally agree.
and they're sitting at what 3-1 right now.
Yep.
Had,
One.
had a soft schedule, but still three. All matters in the NFL: wins and losses. As us Browns fans know way too well. Sitting here at 0-3.
That's a fact.
You're a Bengals fan, right?
No, I'm an Eagles fan, and
Oh, an Eagles fan. So, what are your thoughts
fly Eagles fly.
about the very overrated Carson Wentz?
I'm right there with you. I think he's completely overrated. Like, they were saying hottest quarterback in the NFL after last week, and I mean, like, he only had 170 yards, people. He is completely overrated.
It's not even.
100%.
I hate total stats. I hate looking at like total points per game, total yards. I love looking at efficiency, yards per pass attempt. He had like 5.9 yards per pass attempt. People,
Yeah.
how do you? There's this one local Cleveland guy who was all over Wentz, and after they came back against the Giants, he's like, "I told you, all Wentz does is win," and I'm just like, he literally threw for less than 6 yards per pass attempt. Like he played horribly. Just because they won doesn't mean he's any good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing in the NFL and you have over like 25 attempts, even scratching 200 yards, then you're just dumping it off and hoping people make plays. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I completely agree. And when I hear Browns fans, since I do like the Browns as well, say, "Oh, we should have Carson Wentz. Why did we pass him up? Yada yada yada. We should have went and got him." Do they think the record would be that much difference with Carson Wentz? No, it would be roughly about the same.
No, yeah, it wouldn't be that much better. Wentz, I don't think
it wouldn't.
he can't carry a team at all right now. Time will tell if he can carry a team in the future. I am not high on Wentz in the future compared to a lot of people. So I'm glad that you're
right there with you.
in the same boat as me. As been trying to tell some Browns buddies, but that will wrap it up for this episode of FHS Season Tickets. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you didn't, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more season ticket videos.